That's new. That kind of thing wasn't around when I was back in my day when I was going to youth camp. Man, I feel old. Oh boy. Welcome to my July weekly spending plan video. This is where we take our big monthly budget. We've done our monthly budget already. It's a zero-based budget. Now we're going to take that monthly budget and break it down paycheck by paycheck to make sure we have enough income in each paycheck to cover the bills that are coming out of each paycheck. If you've ever built your monthly budget and then you've still had things go bounce in your checking account, or you've still had problems making ends meet, even though you built this monthly budget and the math should be working, but it's not, chances are you're having problems with your due dates and the way things are lining up. So if you do a weekly spending plan, it's really going to help you problem solve. Say you have too many things coming out of your first paycheck of the month. You might have your mortgage coming out, you might have your car payment coming out, you may have a bunch of bills coming out. Well, that first paycheck of the month may not be enough to cover all of that. So then there's a couple things you can do. You can call and move some due dates around. You can split pay some bills, or you can start saving up to get a month ahead. So you're actually paying, maybe you're paying your mortgage out of the last paycheck of the month before instead of the first of the month paycheck. So there's a bunch of different ways you can handle that, but you won't know which is the problem and how to solve it unless you're doing a weekly spending plan. So you're going to take that monthly budget and we're going to break it down week by week.
Hi, I'm Megan with Bethel Budgets. I'm here because it's more than just math. At some point, you've probably built a budget. You've laid out your income, you've laid out your expenses, and thought it's simple math. I'll just stick to what's on the paper. But then life happened and your budget didn't work out. The reason? Because it's more than just math. That's where I come in. Let's figure this out together. Don't give up. You've got this.
Before we jump into that, I want to thank you for being here. If you are new to my channel, please subscribe and then let me know in the comments that you are new so that I can personally welcome you to my channel. We just hit over 200 subscribers. We jumped up to 221 at my last look before I started filming this, which I'm really excited about. I really want to get to 1,000 subscribers. I want to grow my channel so that I can really help the Budget Babes. Budget Babes is a support group that I run in my town. I take these women out to coffee and I help them to set up their budget. I help them to set up their debt digging plan. We get them started through day one, all the way through all of their planning, their processes. Then we sit together once a month and we close out our budgets, we build our budgets, we work through all of the issues surrounding budgets. Then once a quarter, we bring in their husbands and their kids. The kids go to play, we do childcare, we have food, and we sit and we learn how to discuss our financial goals, and we learn how to discuss the finances and how we are going to meet those goals. We learn how to have those really difficult conversations in a peaceful and supportive way to remember that we really are trying to reach the same goal and we are here to work together and we do like each other, and just to get everybody on the same page. But this YouTube channel helps them in two ways. One, I can't always be there with every budget babe as they need me throughout the month. So if they are working on something like their transfers or building their budget and I can't be there with them, they can tune into my channel and work alongside me even if I'm not there. And the second way that this helps them, if we can get to 1,000 subscribers and get this channel monetized, then I can take that money and put that back into the Budget Babes. I'm not making any money off of this, but it would take that money from the YouTube channel and be able to take these women out to coffee, be able to pay for the childcare or the food or the venue for the events that we do. Right now, I'm not making any money off of this. It would just be nice to be able to support my Budget Babes habit, is what I like to say. So pick my favorite video and share it, subscribe. Let's grow this channel as best we can. In the meantime, let's jump into this weekly spending plan. On the screen, you can see this is my weekly spending plan. This is one of my budget spreadsheets. So I've got my monthly budget and I've plugged it in here. On this column, this is all of the categories that are in my monthly budget right here and all of the due dates. Whenever I do my budget or any part of my budget, I always include the due dates, which is particularly important for the weekly spending plan part because we are out to figure out how much income is coming in per paycheck and how much is going out per paycheck. So it's important to have the due dates. And then these planned amounts here came directly from my monthly budget. So all of this I set up off camera, but most of this is just copied and pasted from my monthly budget. The only thing I have to go change every time are some of the due dates. So this one, my kids get their income on the second Saturday of every month. So the second Saturday of July is actually the 13th. So I need to change that due date to the 13th. And that's the only due date I really need to change. I keep it mostly the 1st, the 17th, things like that, so that I can just copy and paste every month. I don't put July 7th or June 7th. It's just the 7th. That bill is due on the 7th, so that's what goes in there. So the second Saturday of the month is the only one I have to change. I put my planned amounts in here already from my monthly budget. I did that off camera. Now what we're going to do is, this is my first paycheck of the month, my second paycheck of the month, and my third paycheck of the month. And so this is mine, and this is my spouse's, and this one's my spouse's. So what we're gonna do is we are going to allocate the funds that we plan to spend across these 3 paychecks. So I always start with my tithe. We are Christians and we tithe 10% of our income back to the church. So I'm gonna plug that in first. So that is 206 there, and 250 there, and 250 there. Now you can see that once I plugged in that planned, that budgeted amount for this first paycheck of the month, this remaining column started to total up. So this 1852 is my income minus my tithe, and that shows what we have left to work with. So I've done my income, I've done my tithe. So what's next is we're going to go to the things that have due dates, and we're gonna work our way down and plug those numbers in first, because those are due on those due dates. We need to make sure we have that planned first. Other things that don't have due dates, like groceries, I can play with those numbers across the 3 weeks and it will be okay. But these things have due dates. So water, sewer, trash comes out on the 7th of the month. So this paycheck is the 1st of the month, this one is the 4th of the month, and this one is the 15th of the month. So the 1st is a little early, the 15th is too late, so I'm gonna put it on the 4th of the month. Water, sewer, trash, I treat that like a mini sinking fund. So it's an every other month bill. So I put 150 in there every single month. And then when I get the bill, so this month is a pay month for that. So I'll get the bill and I'll pay that bill with the 150 I put in last month and the 150 I put in this month. And I'll figure out what extra I have, and I'll put that back into savings, or I will keep it in my checking account to build back up that buffer, because if you've been watching my channel, you know May was a little bit crazy with our spending. But I'm not going to explain all of that again. You can go watch that video if you want to know why we were overboard with spending. Okay, so then we've got natural gas. That is due on the 2nd of the month, and so is electricity. So we're going to put that on our 1st of the month paycheck. These are both budget billing payments. I highly recommend budget billing. It keeps those numbers the same every single month, except for the last month of that billing cycle for the year. So your budget billing is based on your year's worth of usage from the previous year. And so this year we used less electricity than we had the previous year. So we got a prorated amount, and we didn't actually pay the $149 last month for June. We paid, I want to say like 17, but I don't remember. There's a reason I write everything down, and because it doesn't stick in my head. So if you want to know what we actually paid last month, you can go look at that. And we should be getting a new amount, which I don't think I have seen by the time I did my July budget. So it might be a little bit less than this, but whenever you get new numbers, it takes a couple months to figure that out. So we will get there. So internet is due on the 10th of the month. So I can't go all the way to the 15th. I'm going to put that on the 4th of the month paycheck, and that should be $50. And then what this column is over here, this allocated column, is you can see that I have planned 150 and allocated 150. Planned 65, allocated 65. So once I get down to the bottom of this whole category, the housing category, I can make sure I didn't miss anything, because I plan to spend 414 in this category, and now you can see that I've allocated 414. So that category is done. I don't have to worry about that one for the month for this the rest of this process. Let's go on to food. It doesn't have any due dates, so we're gonna keep scrolling until we come across something with a due date. So the 11th of the month is our phone bill, and this is a new amount for us. So not the first, but we'll put that on the 4th of the month because the 15th of the month would be too late. Scrolling down for more due dates. We've got the 23rd of the month for $124 by pet care. So I'm gonna put that on the last paycheck of the month for us. Entertainment, this is a multi-due date line item for us. We've got a bill due the 2nd, the 5th, the 6th, the 11th, and the 26th. It's all of our subscriptions. I just put it on one line item rather than having multiple lines on my spreadsheet here. So I treat this kind of like an envelope. I put all the $71 here, and then as things come out, they come out and it's okay. So the first, when we do our budget closeout, when we do our paycheck closeout, this number will look like we underspent, but then it all evens out for the month overall. Mosquito Squad is not Mosquito Squad anymore. I keep changing this on different documents. We switched companies, so I'm just gonna start calling this Mosquito Treatment. It should be $84. I'm a little confused. It came out twice in June, and I don't actually know a due date for that yet, so that's my husband's department. He's working on it. As soon as it's fixed, I will update it here and let you guys know, but I don't know when that's due yet. I think I put it on the 4th of the month paycheck last in June, just to be safe, but we'll see where it ends up today. The 17th would be education tuition, but we're not paying that because it's summer. These don't have due dates. Let's scroll for some more due dates. The gym membership is due on the 17th, so we can put that on the 15th of the month paycheck. Scrolling for more due dates. Our mortgage is due on the 1st, and it's $14.97. This has a due date. It's due on the 9th. $3 is due on the 9th, so this is the 1st. This is the 4th. This is the 15th. We're putting it in on the 4th of the month paycheck. Scrolling down for more due dates. Okay. The 13th is when all my kids get their income. So that would be also the 14th of the month paycheck. 13, 12, $10. They get $10 when they turn 10. They get $10 a month in a Chromebook, and they sit and they budget once a month on the second Saturday of the month. They sit down and they budget with mom, and they learn to give, save, spend. They have to do an emergency fund, 10% emergency fund, 3E savings, which is for when they turn 18, their education, enlistment, or entrepreneurship. So they have a savings for when they turn 18. They're saving for cars, phones, and Pokemon cards, other things like that. So that's what they do with mom on the second Saturday of every month. So we can scroll down then and see how we did. We have 70 left to spend in this first paycheck of the month. Now we can go back up and go to areas that are more flexible, like groceries and gas. Those are necessities, but they are also more flexible with where we can put them. Now, my first two paychecks of the month are on the 1st and the 4th of the month. So they're really close together. So I don't really sweat it too much when I go back and forth between these two things. I don't really sweat it too much. We're gonna go, while we're up here, my lump sum sinking funds, I always do that at the end of the month, because whenever I finish doing my monthly budget closeout, I always get to end up transferring a little bit more. You don't always get to transfer a little bit more. I cannot say always now because May was a disaster, but typically I get to transfer more into savings than just what I planned. And I only like to do my transfers once a month. So I sit down and I do it all in one day. So I save that for the end of the month. I totally believe in paying yourself first. So I budget to pay myself first, but then I do that actual physical transfer at the end of the month. So I'm gonna put that in there. So I have $70 left for this first paycheck of the month. I think my husband needs to fill up, and his is usually around $30. And then I'll put $40 here in groceries. And that should take us down to 0. So that first of the month paycheck is completely planned spending. Nothing left to spend for that. We have a 0 balanced first paycheck of the month. Now we have $18.53 left for the second paycheck of the month, and $12.06 left to spend for the third paycheck of the month. So we'll go back up to some of these more flexible spending things, like groceries is what we were working on. And then what I like to do is, as much as I can, just divide it in half. So I have some grocery money at the beginning of the month and grocery money at the second half of the month. to get me through. We upped our grocery budget big time this month because I was tired of, we used to budget $1,200 a month for groceries. If you've been around my channel, we have a lot of food allergies in our house and we don't eat a bunch of processed things. So we don't eat cheap, we eat expensive, and we know it, but it's worth it. It's a sacrifice we're willing to make for our health. But with inflation, our $1,200 a month just wasn't cutting it anymore. So I've upped our budget to $1,500 a month, and we've taken some out of some dining out categories and in other spaces in our budget. So again, new numbers, but I've got $1,500 is what I planned for the month, minus the $40 for that first paycheck. So I've got $1,460 left for the second 2 weeks. So I'm just gonna divide that in half and do $730 on the 4th of the month paycheck and $730 on the 15th of the month paycheck. And you can see I planned $1,500 and I allocated $1,500. So that line item is done. Family dining out, that $200 is basically one meal for our family. So I'm just gonna put it here. So it's the 4th of the month. So it's close to the beginning of the month. So we just have that. If we decide to go out here in the first week of the month to eat, then it's covered. If we don't and we wait, this will just carry over and be like an envelope and we'll just use it later in the month. So that was $930. I'm trying to calculate how much I have left to spend. I have $923 left to spend for this paycheck. I'm going to put our date night dining out in there. Same deal, this $100 will get us a date either at the beginning of the month or the end of the month. We don't have that on our calendar yet. And actually we might not use much of that because we are going on vacation in July, and that might we might go on a date while we're on vacation, and Nana and Papa will watch the kids and we'll go on a date. And so maybe that'll come out of our vacation budget. I don't know exactly how that's gonna work this month, but I've got it planned just in case. And I'll put our fellowship there too. That way it's there and we can carry that through. Okay, so for gas, I'm gonna split that one in half. I like to split that one in half just so we have some money at the beginning of the month and at the end of the month. The $20 for the car wash, instead of doing the nice car wash that we've been going to, we decided our kids want to do pay chores, and if they want to wash our car, we'll give it a shot. It's not going to be done as nicely as the car wash, I don't think, but we're going to let them do it. So I'm going to put that there at the beginning of the month too, because I'm not sure when that will get done. Let's scroll down and see how much we have left to allocate for this second half of the month. $578 and what we have left. We better put the shopping at the beginning of the month. We could do hair at the beginning of the month, kids' birthdays. So the kids' events and birthdays are not my own kids' birthdays. That's when the kids get invited to birthday parties, or the kids are going to youth camp. This will give them some spending money. I guess they get like a bracelet and they're spending money in their account so they can buy ice cream or snacks while they're at camp. That's new. That kind of thing wasn't around when I was back in my day when I was going to youth camp. Man, I feel old. Oh boy. So we have $78 left to allocate for the second half of the month. I wish it were $100 so I could give my spouse and I our spending money at the beginning of the month so that we have that. I think I will actually. I'm gonna do our $50 each, and that puts us over by 22. So what I'll do is I'll go back up here to groceries and I'll subtract $22 there, making that $708 instead, and I'll add $22 here, making this $752. Did I math that right? Yes. So now it's $1,500, so I didn't miss anything. So let's check some of our categories here. So we planned $706 for giving, we allocated $706, $897 in savings, $897 in savings, which is good because my goal was to put 10% of our net income into savings, so that beats that number, which I'm very happy about. Housing, $414, we're good on all of those categories. Food, $1875, oh my gosh, that just seems like so much. $1875 met there. Transportation, $320, oh, $350 is what I have here. Oh, I see what I did. Okay, so I did 30 at the first half of the month and then forgot to change that here. So I will take 30 off of here and make this 120. So now 320 and 320. This is why you go back and check things. Found my mistake. Personal, we are fully allocated. Lifestyle, we've got some left to allocate, but I think we are zero-based budget for the first paycheck. We are $30 left. Okay, let's do $30 in pay chores for the second paycheck of the month and $20 for the third. Now that should be a zero-based budget for the first paycheck and a zero-based budget for the second paycheck. Now we have $284 left to allocate for the third paycheck. So anything that's remaining, we can just plug into the third paycheck. That's allocated. This is not. So what are we missing here? We got $71.84. Okay, so we're gonna put our mosquito treatment here and our swim lessons here. I think that took care of it. All right, we are zero-based budget for each paycheck of the month. I hope that all made sense to you, how I did all of that. So what we did was we took our big monthly budget and we broke it down paycheck by paycheck. This is how much I'm getting on my first paycheck of the month, and then I planned all of the expenses to come out. This is how much I'm getting on my second paycheck, and I planned all the expenses coming out, and my third paycheck and all the expenses coming out. So we are totally prepared. We know when our money's coming in, we know when our money is going out, and we have identified where any problems could be. A while ago, when I had my car payment, I don't have a car payment anymore. We paid it off, thank God. But when it was on the first of the month, that made my first of the month so bill heavy. It was just hard. So I had to move that around. And then a long time ago, when I first started budgeting, I actually saved up enough to get a month ahead, and I started paying my mortgage out of this paycheck. My 15th of the month paycheck, I started paying my mortgage out of that when it was due on the 1st. So I'd use that paycheck to pay my first of the month paycheck. Was a little wonky with the budgeting and figuring that out initially. Yeah, it took me a little bit to get used to that, but it solved my problem of running out of money every month. You have to be willing to sit down and problem solve and figure that out, because if you're doing your monthly budget and you're still running into these more than just math moments, that might be why. It might just be a due date problem. Sit down and do a weekly spending plan or a paycheck spending plan, whatever you want to call it. Different YouTubers call it different things. Figure that out, but keep going. You've got this.